Good morning. Hello, everyone. This is my second session of webinar about the aircraft airworthiness, and that start to think or to determine where it begins. It begins in there was a very interesting. There was a World War in between 1945 to 1945 to 1943, 1943 to 1939, sorry. It was a war between 1939 1945. It is World War II. So most countries were at war. However, in 1944, there was a very important meeting in Chicago. We call it Chicago Convention 1944. So this head of state, I believe 52 of them, met in a hotel in Chicago to discuss about international navigation. So that meeting, we call it as Chicago Convention 1944, which all of us today referring to that or use that as a basis of the current aircraft flight safe operation. So from this convention, they publish, there are resolutions. The resolution is published in articles. So they call it as, this is the original, Convention on International Civil Aviation at Chicago, 7 December 1944. So that meeting has agreed on certain policy standards, how we want to manage the future air navigations. So there are a few articles here, there are many. Okay. There are parts, chapters. But what interesting to us, I will highlight on a few articles. First is article number 1, which is sovereignty. So this is the thing allowing the state to be independent because of their sovereignty. Because when you sign off to this convention, which later part, more people joining this convention at later part. For example, Malaysia joining this convention in 1958. So most interesting about this, you have the ability to be on your own. However, you need to tell the member state that what are the area which is your difference. So we call it filing differences, state filing differences, which later International Civil Aviation Organization will publish what is the area of you the state which is not compliant to this article. Okay, another interesting thing is, because we talk about airworthiness, there's article 38, article 31. Let's look at article 31. 31 says, okay, 31 says certificate of airworthiness. Every aircraft engaged in international navigation shall be provided with certificate of airworthiness issued or rendered valid by the state in which it is registered. So state register need to register the aircraft as well as ensure the aircraft having a valid certificate of airworthiness. For the aircraft to fly internationally. So this every member state, everyone sign up to convention will need to comply to Article 31, where each aircraft registered in the state for international navigation shall have valid certificate of airworthiness. So that certificate of airworthiness is also, it's not straightforward, it's not something you just issue as you like, but it has to follow a certain process, which most importantly, the aircraft is safe for the flight. And then in addition to that, there's also in this article mentioning about standard and recommended practices, which is Article 37, says that adoption of international standard. Each contracting state, when you become a member of all these organizations, ICAO, undertakes to collaborate in securing the highest practicable degree of uniformity, standard procedures, and organization in relation to aircraft personnel. So this is where the ICAO published annexes, Annex 1 to Annex 19, and these annexes, they call it standard and recommended practices, or we call it SAPs. So in this article, which I will mention, sovereignty of the state, and annexes, standard and recommended practices, annexes, and we focus more on Annex 8, because we're talking about our subject here is airworthiness. We focus more on Annex 8, which is the aircraft airworthiness of aircraft. So this is the Annex 8, airworthiness of aircraft. So this is standard and recommended practices, international standard and recommended practices. So once you sign up to the convention, you become member state, and member state need to implement all these standard recommended practice. There are 19 of them. So Annex 8 is very specific on airworthiness of aircraft. So effective implementation of this Annex 8 into your regulation, into the states or contracting state regulation, will be monitored through surveillance, or we call it USOP, Universal Safety Oversight Program, USOP. And this is a website where it will give you the standing of each state scoring against the national standard. They create national standard for every annex, most of the annex. Annex 8 is one of it, which is under airworthiness. Effective implementation of airworthiness standard and recommended practices is also been audited and surveillance carried out by the International Civil Aviation Organization auditors under the USOP program, and they publish the results in the website. They are interactive result on each state's score. So I will not want to go into detail. We'll talk about it later. But let's look at what is Annex 8. Annex 8 do have what? Look at the contents here. You can see there is a type certification. Okay, this part 1, part 2. Part 2, procedures for certification and continuing airworthiness. So there's 2. Certification and continuing airworthiness, or someone also may hear about initial airworthiness and continuing airworthiness. So certification is part of initial airworthiness, and continuing airworthiness is what you are working on the MRO, CAMO, ATO, those are continuing airworthiness. So look at the chapter 1, which is talking about type certification. So this process here, these procedures here is a procedures how to get the type certification of an aircraft engine and propeller. So this is detailed procedure here. This is the standard and recommended practices for the country, the state, to issue TC, and also to transfer the TC, to revoke the TC, to suspend the TC, And most countries also do not issue TC for the foreign aircraft, engine or propeller, but they do type validation of the foreign TC. Malaysia has been doing that. We call it TC validation. So any new aircraft coming to Malaysia, first of type will be will have to go through the process of TC validation. Then after you got the TC, you need to make the aircraft, to make the parts component, put them together. That is under productions. So here is a procedure for the company to make aircraft, and they have to have production approval by the authority. So there's only one TC for aircraft, but it can be a few production approval at several countries. So this is how you are able to acquire, to earn the production approval to make aircraft part and components. One aircraft make and also declare comply to the TC, and the aircraft eligible for the certificate of airworthiness. This aircraft can be airworthy, the aircraft can be airworthy when there is a TC, and also there is also a product that the aircraft also produced by approved production organization, so the aircraft is eligible for the certificate of airworthiness. For the initial airworthiness certificate, if the aircraft is going for the other country, foreign country, we call it export certificate of airworthiness. So that export certificate of airworthiness is not used as an eligibility for the aircraft to fly for operation. So the state that receiving the aircraft should issue their own certificate of airworthiness to make the aircraft eligible to fly for international navigation. And there is continuing airworthiness for aircraft to hold the valid TC at all time. They must have valid TC at all time, or else they cannot operate. So they have to be continually airworthy, and there is a continuing airworthiness procedure how to make sure aircraft continually airworthy. And also there is Annex 8 about safety management system, safety management. And nowadays, if you go to EASA Part 21 Initial Airworthiness, they have also changed design assurance system to design management system, where they put in this element of safety management. And also for us to ensure that aircraft is airworthy, you have to have a program for continuing airworthiness, and you have to have organization to manage the aircraft airworthiness, which is continuing airworthiness management organization. And you also must have a place where you can send the aircraft, or the place that can maintain the aircraft. They're doing the repair, they're doing the maintenance, taking overhaul of aircraft part, aircraft component. So this is maintenance organization approval. This procedure how to approve the aircraft maintenance organization. And then move on from part 3 to the end. This is the aircraft airworthiness standards. So this is a large aeroplane, part 3, and also part 3B, large aeroplane, which was certified at later year. And part 4, which is helicopters, part 4A, part 4B, also helicopters. Part 5 is small aeroplane, part 5A, part 5B, okay, depending on the date where the certification is, where the certification begin. Part 6 engine, part 7 propeller, and this is new part 8 remote pilot aeroplane, which will be effective from 26 November 2026. This is part 9 remote pilot helicopters, and part 10, which is remote pilot stations. So each of the remote pilot aeroplane, remote pilot helicopters should have a remote pilot station. So they have to be together. Remote pilot station is a core, is on the ground, which is we can see in the layman term is a cockpit on the ground, and we have this either remote pilot aeroplane or remote pilot helicopters. I mean, being manned by this remote pilot station on the ground. So this is the content of this Annex 8. So Annex 8 in summary will just talk about aircraft type certification, aircraft production, aircraft maintenance, and also design awareness standards in here. Plus everything should be managed with a safety management system program. So I think that's all for this session, and we'll continue with the next session on how the country bring this into the country, into the law of their country once they sign off to that convention. Thank you. See you again.